Oh, warming up. Um, so this is
Yeah, Tom Murphy,
and
uh, Andrew's grandfather.
so
Until when I was born.
oh yeah,
I was born in 1938, so I've been around for all the questions, all that we're covering, Give you my opinion on the different areas.
okay. So what societal effects of the Cold War were noticeable in your everyday life?
I think the Cold War, Russia and America were the dominant factors there, and they kind of they kind of worked off each other really. Russia controlled a large part of the America. We were influential in this part of the world, and really we had a good life in the 50s and 60s. I mean, there was no really. After the Korean War, things kind of really settled down for many years, and we had a wonderful. One of the 50s was wonderful, really. I graduated from high school in 1957, and it was great times then. I look back fondly on them, and maybe it's because I was a kid and back to those days. But 50s and 60s were good times, in my opinion.
Okay. How is life in the 50s and 60s different compared to today?
Well, today, you know, we didn't make as much money as they make today, but it seems to me that maybe it's the population, the growth of the population, but it seems like, the you kids nowadays, you're paying for all kinds of sports, you're paying for everything in high school. In my days, we played the sports, but we didn't have to pay any money for any kind of sports or any. I look back, I was in Somerville, of course, and everything was taken care of. They had during the summer they had the parks all going, and they had recreational department was down there, and they had all kinds of teachers, and they had teams and track, all kinds of track for the kids. And nowadays it seems like the poor kids nowadays, even though I know people are making more money, maybe that's it, but you're paying for everything you do, and that's hard.
Yeah.
You have to have the private camps. We didn't have many camps, but you had a lot of with the recreation departments out of Somerville. We had a lot of sports and track and field, and but you didn't have to pay for it, and you got
Yeah.
it for nothing. Yeah.
Um, so how did the civil unrest caused by the movements of the 50s and 60s affect Somerville?
There wasn't much problems in Somerville, and of course wasn't many black people in Somerville either, and any black people that were in Somerville were heavily in they've been there for years and they're accepted and so forth. But I didn't really. Only place I seen the civil unrest was in South Boston, where the people just didn't want the integration of the schools, and of course our schools were kind of semi-integrated already because there was only a few black people in our schools, and of course they didn't have the busing or anything. We all walked to school. I don't think there was any busing in Somerville, of course. This everybody walked up to the high school and everybody walked to the middle schools. At that time we called them junior high schools, but I didn't see much. There's no unrest in Somerville really, as
Okay.
far as yeah.
In your opinion, do you think the civil rights movement was a success?
Yes, yeah, I think it helped the people. Of course, still nowadays, meaningful jobs. That's the big thing. I think people just don't have meaningful jobs where they can really support a family. And of course, once you don't have meaningful job, you're going on welfare, and it's generational. You just can't get out of that poverty, and it's tough. I think somehow if they could make more meaningful jobs, have people have jobs that they can feel proud of, and kind of go out and work and come home at night with a decent paycheck. I think until we can straighten that out, I don't know, we're not going to have too much success. That's the way I
Yeah.
feel.
Okay, so now moving to Vietnam. From your perspective, do you think the Vietnam War was worth fighting in?
Uh, well, not really. I mean, I think that of course, we lost a lot of young men in Vietnam, and sad situation. I wasn't in Vietnam. It was it was after me. I mean, I had gotten out of the army in 1961. I was in the army from 1958 to 1961, and of course, it was the just start of the Vietnam War. But President Kennedy was in there, and he had the special forces going over there, and kind of trying to help out the situation. But of course, of course, war is war is really I don't know. I wish it would be the last resort because it seems like we lose an awful lot of good men and good young men, and uh, it's tough, and especially the wars nowadays. It just doesn't seem like it's worth it,
Hmm.
But because it's when you're not involved in it, it's easy to say, but I think diplomacy is the only question. Fast diplomacy. Not let things muster. Not let things foster. You know, uh, build up. But they have to. In the UN, I think we have to give more. You know, credence to the UN. I think the UN has to be made stronger and be able to use the good forces it has to rectify things. I think countries. We can't tell countries what to do. I mean, the people in the country have to resolve their own problems, and I mean, we had a civil war ourselves. So I mean, and how would we have liked it if people are coming in on us and trying to, influence to a great extent? So I'm not. I'm a war is the uh, a force of last resort. That's the way I feel about war.
And so a lot of people thought that the draft system for the Vietnam War, um, was very unpopular in the time. And
Right.
do you think that it was flawed, like a lot of other people did?
Yeah, I think it was. I think that there was a lot of exemption for colleges and and so forth and so on. I mean, I know ended up a lot of young poor kids went. I mean, and were killed unfortunately. So I mean, I don't know. Like I say, I I hate to see young kids killed. I mean, it's a sad situation. I mean, you really have to kind of. I wish they had resolved things in a different way. Because it's sad. That's all. I mean, but
Yeah.
once you get going down that avenue of gonna go to war, I mean, war should be the last resort. Really, I believe.
Yeah. Okay. So what does the American dream mean to you?
The American dream means to have a good job and come home, be able to feel like you're supporting your family, and have a nice, have a house, a nice warm house, and a nice be able to put a nice meal on the table for your family, and that's what I feel the American dream is, and but I think the most thing is a meaningful job. We have to be able to work some kind of a system where people feel like they're doing a job and making some money, and there shouldn't be a big disparity in pay scales. I mean, that's there's there should be more of a like I say, people should make a decent living,
Yeah.
no matter what they're doing, and it's up to the people that are in charge to make it a valuable uh, job that the people are doing. I mean,
Hmm.
there's got to be a way to make it so that people feel like they're doing a decent job, and they're not just you know either getting no pay or they're better to go on welfare than rather than work. It can't be demeaning, not demeaning jobs. They have to be felt that they have a significant job and they're doing something that's worthwhile. what I feel the American dream is.
Okay. And do you think that you've lived the American dream?
Yeah, I think I have. I've had it good. I mean, I've haven't had it difficult. Of course, I work for the federal government, and I was fortunate to get a job with the federal government, and I feel as though I'm contributing to the to the betterment of the country, and I'm working for the Air Force, and I've been fortunate to have that job now for 41 years and 11 months actually,
Oh,
coming up to 41 years and 11 months. So I've been there a long time, and and I plan to stay a few more years to keep myself busy, so I won't end up and die.
yeah.
But that's it. I've loved the American dream. And my kids you know, have gone to the Belmont schools, and they've they've enjoyed it. It's been a great town to live in, and I feel as though yeah, I've lived the American dream.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, Andrew. Thank you. Yep.